Hi, my name's Fred, and I'm a blogger here at Rots and Shots. And tonight we're going to talk about a gentleman probably none of you have ever heard of, because until relatively recently I have never heard of the gentleman. His name is Max Nacheman, and Max has the dubious honor of being a columnist for the Morning Call in Pennsylvania out of Lehigh Valley, and also has the dubious honor of belonging to not one, not two, about three anti-gun groups, including Mike Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns, Ceasefire Pennsylvania, and to top that off, he's also a member of the Brady campaign. Yes, we've got the wonderful Brady Bunch back again. Welcome back, Brady Bunch. You've only been through about 4 names now. Alright, so now we know Mr. Nacheman's stance on guns. He took pen in hand and wrote an article about the Castle Doctrine. He seems to feel it's more or less the murder doctrine in all of Pennsylvania, because if this law gets passed, we're going to be able to defend ourselves now. We're going to cause the streets to run red with blood, and several old tired cliches that we've all heard before. The title of the article says that, and I quote because I have the article here in print, that the bill fosters violence, not self-defense. Well, Mr. Nacheman, self-defense in of itself is violence, because if I have to defend myself, obviously I'm being attacked. Attacking somebody is violent. So, you need to actually get yourself together and face facts. And I'd like to welcome you to the reality that all the rest of us face every day, which is that in order to have self-defense, you have to have some type of violence. And Mr. Nacheman goes on to say some other things, such as that the bill is going to promote violence, not self-defense. That, I get almost ill just reading this bill, or reading this column. Let's see here. Says it will be a defense attorney's dream. Not so, because Mr. Nacheman, this only affects law-abiding citizens. So therefore, it will not be a defense attorney's dream. The defense attorneys defend criminals. So, since law-abiding gun owners of Pennsylvania, and there's 600,000 of us, are not criminals, because we're frequently background checked through the United States government, thanks to the 1934 Gun Control Act. There is the NICS system. We cannot be criminals and own our firearms in Pennsylvania, nor any other state in the Union. So, again, it's just more tired rhetoric by an anti-gun advocate. And while you're there, Mr. Nacheman, you work for Mayors Against Illegal Guns. That's a pretty interesting deal, because if I remember correctly, Mike Bloomberg said something to the effect once of he wanted to make contraband weapons illegal. So I think Mr. Bloomberg said he'd like to make illegal guns illegaler. With that kind of pretzel logic, and then after saying this, he turns around and says, but I don't expect this to work. I just want it to spark a debate. Well, you guys decide who you want to spark the debate with. If you want to spark a debate with 600,000 legal gun owners, okay, let's have a debate. But when it comes to self-defense, there is no debate. You have an absolute God-given right to defend yourself. And this bill does not foster violence, because this bill only applies to people being attacked. So therefore, someone is already being violent against you. They're attacking your home, they're attacking your person. They are there in your home or in that particular place where you have a legal right to be, to attack you. So therefore, they're already perpetrating violence. So this is not promoting violence. It is a means to terminate violence. And as a Pennsylvania licensed concealed carry holder, I can personally tell you in all the years, my 20-some years now, 21 years, almost 22 years now, of having a concealed carry license, I've never had to remove my gun from my holster. And I would definitely like to keep it that way. You paint gun owners as if they're some kind of savage thugs that have a need to play Jesse James in the middle of the street and have a shootout at noon. While this makes for great characterization, it is absolutely false. I can personally tell you from my personal experiences, I have no desire to go out in the middle of the street and see if I'm faster than some other guy at getting my weapon out of my holster and attempting to gun them down. Also, you claim that, let's see, I'll find the claim here. I'm sorry for wasting your time. Let's see. You claim this version is more about violence than it is self-defense, and that it panders to special interests, lobbyists from the NRA in Fairfax. Personally, I don't see Mr. Nacheman, the difference it makes whether the lobbyists from the NRA are from Fairfax, from Allegheny County, or from New York State. If it makes you feel better, I'll be the lobbyist from the NRA, and then you don't have to worry about them being from Fairfax County, Virginia. You can worry about them being from Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. Because, as I see it, it is still a good common sense piece of legislation no matter what way you slice the cake. It protects law-abiding gun owners from unnecessarily being sued by attackers or attackers' families if you have to use lethal force. That's all the bill does. It does not. It just codifies a defense to having to defend yourself. Because in the modern day and age, we have such things as frivolous lawsuits. Something Ceasefire PA and Mayors Against Illegal Guns and the Brady Bunch ought to be very, very familiar with, because they're famous for them. Anyway, so Mr. Nacheman, before you decide to attack Pennsylvania's some 600,000 legal gun owners, I think that you ought to realize that there's more of us, as far as it goes, that are not committing any crimes, that are not doing anything against the law. And when we choose or have to choose to defend ourselves from an attack, yes, it's violence. And yes, it's distasteful, I agree, to have to be that violent. But the way society is today, unfortunately, it is a necessary evil. And it is necessary to be able to defend yourself. And it's also necessary to be able to defend yourself without having to worry about frivolous lawsuits from criminals, families, or from, if you want to replace the word criminal with attacker, you can say attackers or attackers' families. It becomes very necessary at that point to have that ability. So, Mr. Nacheman, I'm really pressed to not understand here your viewpoints about law-abiding Pennsylvania gun owners. And, just like the folks in Ohio right now are fighting over restaurant carry, when actually, if they just look at the Commonwealth, we already have restaurant and carry, and we can carry in bars and etc. And as of yet, there still is yet to be a law-abiding gun owner who has decided to play shoot 'em up in the middle of one of these establishments, because the evil alcohol jumped off the shelf and ran down their throat, and somehow they became wild, blood-crazed animals and shot the place up. As you're well aware, in order to own a gun, and as I've said, in order to own a gun, they can't be criminals to start with. That's a disqualification. So, Mr. Nacheman, what we have here is another failed attempt by the folks at Ceasefire PA and Brady Campaign and Mayors Against Illegal Guns to put up a bunch of falsehoods and rhetoric and imagery and smoke and mirrors and try to ram it down the law-abiding citizens' throats as common sense. I would just love to sit down and talk with you about your opinion of common sense. Because to me it seems to be, as a father and a husband and a legal gun owner, it seems to me to be more common sense to be able to defend my wife and children wherever my wife and children happen to be, and not have to worry about being in unarmed helplessness as we do so. I don't want to have to yell trick or treat at somebody trying to rob me with a .45. I don't want to have to beg somebody not to kill my wife and children because laws that you would suggest would keep me from doing so. Or I don't want to have to worry about losing my home, my vehicle, and my dogs or what have you because somebody decides they're going to sue me because I had to defend myself from their loved ones or from their attack on myself or my family. So therefore, that is my rebuttal to you, sir. I invite you to try to rebut me. I would be more than happy to debate this with you on and on. But for right now, until I get your response, I'm going to stop here. And I think everybody should talk to and call the editors at the Morning Call. And go ahead and visit their website at mcall.com. And also view your commentaries and suggestions about Mr. Nacheman's article on the Castle Doctrine. And again, for all the law-abiding gun owners of Pennsylvania, the Castle Doctrine is House Bill 40 or Senate Bill 273. And you should also call your lawmakers and support House Bill 40 and Senate Bill 273, the Castle Doctrine in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Again, my name's Fred, and I'm a blogger here at Rots and Shots. I want you all to have a great evening.